let's at least introduce ourselves before touching his telescope.
Always a good roll.
Shh, listen. Do you hear them? The stars. They're whispering. So quiet, and yet so loud.
What are they whispering about? Are they spreading rumors about us?
I shouldn't think they concern themselves with such insignificance. We are but specks of dust, you and I.
Could the speck of dust start by telling me his name?
You find yourself standing in the astronomy tower of one Professor Percival Pointer.
Seems like this tower belongs to the Pointers, and the other one belongs to the Fellows.
Well observed, my dear. Tangle Tower is something of a duality, as it happens. Meaningless boundaries, really. They exist only in our minds.
Helpful.
Me? Not much to say. Strictly speaking, I'm the current head of the Pointer family. And, of course, father to my precious Poppy.
And a professional astronomer?
Oh, no, that's just a little hobby. I mean, yes, I've studied the stars for over 35 years, published 17 books.
Just a little hobby.
Sounds like you're quite well known. You must bring in a good amount of money.
Oh, dear me, no. My field of research has never yielded any kind of stable financial return, nor would I expect it to. I am nothing but a humble interpreter for the cosmos, working to translate its message so that I may share it with the world.
Cool. Tell the cosmos I say hi.
The day began as any other, with blissful, unremarkable routine. I took my usual morning walk around the gardens. Fresh air does wonders for the mind.
Did you see anyone else?
Penelope and Fitz were in the greenhouse together. I didn't bother them, of course. I sat for a while besides the pond in the garden. It's a favorite spot of mine. Eventually, I returned to my tower and buried myself in my studies for the afternoon.
Did you use your telescope yesterday?
Once the stars began to appear, naturally.
For how long?
I can't say. I've been known to lose hours at my telescope.
Did you see anything?
No actual discoveries, if that's what you mean.
So you were all alone up in the astronomy tower. Must have been a while before you found out what had happened to Freya.
Quite. Normally, I would be the last to find out about such a thing. But a curious tug of fate led me towards the fellow tower later that evening. I was at my telescope for the majority of the evening, but at one point I returned to my desk to look something up in a reference book. I couldn't find the book I wanted, so I figured Fiona must have borrowed it. I left my tower and headed down towards the Grand Hall. I spotted Detective Hawkshaw coming out of the library. She looked impatient and slightly frustrated.
Same as ever, then?
Quite. I passed her by and went upstairs to Fiona's room. The door was locked, but I could hear shouting coming from inside. I recognized Fiona's voice as well as the voice of my own daughter. I had no desire to invade their privacy by eavesdropping, so I waited for them to finish and come out into the hall. Before I could ask about the book, Poppy grabbed my hand and took me upstairs along with Fiona. It was apparent that both of them had already been crying about something. We went up to Flora's tower. Freya was laying on her back, right in the middle of the room. Flora and Fitz were already there. They both looked stoic as ever. Felix and Penny arrived shortly after we did, and then Fiona went downstairs with Poppy for some reason. I quickly decided that I should leave also. I took Penelope with me, and we both went back to our rooms in Pointer Tower.
Why did you leave so quickly? Wasn't there anything you could have done to help?
Don't take this the wrong way, but the whole ordeal is fellow family business. I'm quite sure they don't need me getting in the way at a time like that. He should learn to make the most of his lot in life. And he does have a lot in life.
You're talking about money?
Among other things, but yes, he currently has agency over a small fortune. That is, if he hasn't already squandered it or lost it.
You two don't get on?
Oh no, we're the best of friends. Ah, yes, the heiress of Tangle Tower. Goodness knows what'll happen when she takes charge. I dare say she'll confiscate my telescope and replace it with a microscope.
She doesn't seem to be the type to impress her will on others.
Still, keep an eye on her. Dangerously intelligent, that one.
You sound jealous. Wait, are you two science rivals?
Oh no, we operate on very different wavelengths. Literally. What do you want me to say? He's the gardener.
He's a member of the family.
Yeah, but not the Pointer family.
What happened to his parents, do you know?
His father, Flint, is Felix's brother. Strange man. Don't think anybody knows what happened to him, but he certainly doesn't live here anymore.
What about his mother?
Emily? I've not met her. She never actually married into the fellow family. Her relationship with Flint was, it was short-lived. My Poppy, my pride and joy. Exceptionally talented pianist from a young age. Hold on. Why is she on your list of suspects?
Because she's a suspect.
Oh, no. I can personally vouch for her innocence. She'd never... Well, the truth is, she loved Freya very dearly.
If you don't mind me asking, what happened to Poppy's mother?
Primrose? She was Flora's sister, a Remington by birth. The playing field has never really been even since she left.
Where did she go?
Away. She went away. Ah, Penelope, our resident ornithologist.
Penny's your niece, is that right?
At this moment in time, until she marries the gardener.
She'll still be your niece.
But she'll depart from the world of the Pointers and join the Fellows. Like rats deserting a sinking ship. Nobody could deny her talent. She was remarkable, artistically gifted, but also highly intelligent.
Those two things aren't mutually exclusive, you know.
Was she ever interested in astronomy?
I don't think she was. The fault may well lie with me for failing to inspire her. But I think she was captivated by more tangible things here on Earth. My daughter loved her. Fiona, too. That said, in the last year or so, more and more I begun to notice her by herself, wandering the gardens at the most peculiar hours. She must have explored every inch of the grounds 100 times over. Quite a restless spirit, I think. I'm surprised she chose to live at Tangle Tower as long as she did. Hard to read, that one, but she seems to know what she's doing.
She's kind of mean.
You know, I simply assumed all detectives were sharp, rigorous, and thorough. Then, of course, I met you. I don't especially want to talk about myself. Introspection often leads to vanity.
Wait, does it?
Why don't we discuss the moons of Jupiter instead?
I'm not sure if we have time. Aren't there like 10 of them?
83.
Yeah, we don't have time.
A listless soul drifting through the ether.
What's wrong with her?
Not sure. She's always been troubled. Comes from a dysfunctional family. I'd say you could ask her about it, but I think you might find that to be a bit of a dead end. Fitz seems rather keen to grow things like this in his greenhouse, doesn't he?
What's wrong with that?
Well, you can't eat it. Makes you wonder why he bothers at all. That's a very old book, isn't it? Looks like someone could have taken better care of it.
I like the look of a well-read book. Better than one that's never been opened.
Ah, well put. A diary can be a wonderful outlet for an outpouring of one's soul.
How do you know it's a diary?
I suppose I don't. but it does look like a diary. Poppy's two closest friends. Freya looks so innocent there. Pointer property originally, purloined by the fellows. Typical. Here's a thought. Do you suppose the paintbrush could be the murder weapon? After all, it was found at the scene, right next to Freya's body.
I guess it's possible.
What's this?
It looks like it might be a telescope. Thought you might know something about it.
Well, it certainly is a telescope. It has a part there to screw onto a tripod, you see. It's rather small, though. I'm not sure you could see many stars with it.
No, probably not.
Is this important?
Possibly.
A very old statue indeed. I'd recommend you leave it well alone. The poor fellow's in bad enough shape as it is.
That's all the statements.
Let's go over them all.
Pretty.
It's too cloudy to see any stars right now.
It's also daytime. What is it?
It's clearly some kind of large device.
You're not wrong. You know, I've always wanted one of those.
A mechanical solar system? What would you do with it?
I would look at it.
Wait a minute. Earth in the middle, sun on the outside. How old is this thing? Reset the puzzle. That's the one.
Hey, not bad. Did you hear that? Something unlocked.
There's a little hatch underneath? What's in there?
A bunch of paper. Looks like somebody's research.
There's something about Hawkshaw's handheld microscope. Something suspicious.
Let's ask her about it.
Every astronomy tower needs a telescope.
I want to try.
It's the tower opposite this one.
It's that little plant Flora keeps on the window ledge.
Don't you think it would fall off? In the wind.
Maybe it's glued down. Is that a window?
I think it is.
Is there another room above Flora's room?
We should check that next time we're over there. I can just about see the gramophone. You can see right into Flora's room.
Not by accident.
I can see Flora, but she's not looking this way. She's looking up. Behind her is the backside of the easel holding Freya's unfinished painting. I can't really see anything behind it. Not from this angle. Isn't this supposed to be an astronomy telescope? I'm pretty sure you need to see the sky for astronomy to work.
I can't move it. I think this is just how it's set up.
It's tidier than my desk. Oh, the notebook is untouched. It's completely blank.
So, even the most well-used notebooks start off blank.
It's tidier than
So, even the most well-used notebook.
It's full of tea, but it's gone.
Criminal.
A picture frame.
With no picture.
It's a chart of the solar system. Which planet are you from, Sally? It's tidier than my desk.
So, even the most well-used notebook. Pretty.
Just dusty junk. It's a statue of a wolf, standing up straight, like a man.
You know there's a name for that.
I know.
It's not quite as dusty as everything else up here. Also, it's not a statue. It's stuffed. Nothing catching my interest.
I'm sorry, is this spooky attic boring you?
Kinda. At least the moths are kept well fed. Someone painted out the window.
Do you think it was done recently?
No idea. Either way, it's pretty suspicious. Nothing catching my interest.
I'm sorry, is
Kinda.
this... Just dusty junk? What is that?
Not sure. Some kind of reel?
Looks like it might attach to something.
It's a jar. The head screws off.
Huh. Just dusty junk. Just dusty junk.
Nothing catching my interest.
Sorry, is this...
Kinda.
This little microscope thing? You said you used it to search the greenhouse.
And this would make perfect sense, if you knew what my client had asked me to find. Of course, I still have no intention of disclosing that information.
You're such a tease, Hawkshaw. Don't worry, we already worked out what you're searching for.
You're not as hopeless as you look.
Thanks.
So, that's what you were looking for in the greenhouse? This beetle?
Surely even you can understand the logic of it. The greenhouse is home to a great many insects. The gardener could have easily kept the beetle hidden in there.
Well, Fitz said you questioned him, but didn't actually search the greenhouse.
He is not exactly the type to appreciate subtlety. He simply didn't notice that I was using my microscope.
What do you reckon, Grimoire?
I know for a fact she didn't use the microscope in the greenhouse. It's broken and doesn't work.
You sure about that?
Not entirely. I know for a fact she didn't use the microscope in the greenhouse. It's not a microscope at all.
All of a sudden, Detective Grimoire is some kind of expert on microscopes.
handheld microscope, according to Fifi, uses a telescopic lens, so Hawkshaw lied about it. I'm inclined to believe Fifi when it comes to stuff like this.
Hawkshaw, why did you lie about owning a telescope?
When you were a child, what did you aspire to become?
A detective? Naturally.
Emperor of the Galaxy?
I wanted to be an astronomer.
Really?
I harbored a desire to understand the secrets of the wider universe. A fool's errand, to be sure, but a seductive one. At 15, I decided instead to apply my intelligence to the world around me. And so, I became a detective. But the yearning for elusive knowledge is a powerful force. I tried to keep it with me.
Sorry, but we're way off track. What's the deal with the little telescope?
A memento from my childhood. Little more than a toy.
Why did you bring it with you?
When I discovered that it was Professor Pointer who had hired me, I dared to consider it something of a planetary alignment. I had hoped he might sign my telescope. An extremely childish indulgence, I admit.
I never would have guessed.
Hold on. You're admitting you didn't use it in the greenhouse then?
Correct. As it happens, I have no need to search the greenhouse to such a degree. Professor Pointer doesn't consider the gardener a suspect in our theft investigation.
So, who is your suspect?
Things have become complicated. My lead suspect is your murder victim.
That's all the statements collected. Let's run through them all to see if anything doesn't add up.
To see if anyone's been lying.
That too.
Fitz and I were up in the Moonlight Garden most of the afternoon. Then we heard this sound. Lasted about 3 seconds.
We thought it was coming from Flora's tower, so we went up there.
Her door was locked. Nobody was answering. So I made Fitz kick down the door.
Poppy and I went in. Freya was right there, laying on her back.
I left my tower and headed down towards the Grand Hall.
But in the hall, I spotted Uncle Pointer heading down the stairs. I vacated the library, but before I could begin my ascent, Professor Pointer appeared.
I didn't know what to do, so I ran downstairs to get Fifi.
I heard someone heading down the stairs. They're just outside my room.
Someone began banging on the door. I ignored it until the someone began shouting at me.
Eventually, she let me in.
I spotted Detective Hawkshaw coming out of the library.
He emerged from the Pointer staircase, crossed the hall, and begun up the fellow staircase. As I was passing through the front door, Penelope called out from behind me. I inquired about the professor, and she told me he'd gone up the fellow tower.
I told her what had happened. She didn't believe me. She got angry.
I thought she was playing a trick on me, so I punched her in the face.
I recognized Fiona's voice as well as the voice of my own daughter.
We left the room, and Poppy's father was waiting outside. He followed us upstairs.
I ran up the stairs, hoping to catch up with him, but Felix appeared and blocked my path.
Back in the hallway, I bumped into a very concerned-looking Penelope. She was heading up Fellow Tower to find Professor Pointer. Well, so I escorted her.
Poppy left the room for a while. When she came back, she had her father with her, and Fifi too.
Felix and Penny arrived shortly after we did.
A moment later, we were gazing down on the body of poor Freya.
Then I took a sample of the red paint on the unfinished painting.
She took me down to the library. We were in there about 15 minutes.
I quickly decided that I should leave also. I took Penelope with me, and we both went back to our rooms in Pointer Tower.
I wanted to go back to my room, but I realized nobody had told Detective Hawkshaw anything.
An unremarkable hour passed before the gardener finally made his appearance.
I think she was annoyed about being made to wait outside so long. But when I told her about Freya, she fell silent.
That's disappointing.
What is?
All the statements line up with each other.
They don't just line up. Some of them even seem to specifically confirm each other.
Did Freya draw these?
Yeah. There's a note on the back, too.
She was even closer to Flora than I realized.
We found these up in the rooftop garden. Do you know how long they've been there?
No, it could have been a long time. We don't ever really clear up the rooftop garden.
Why not?
Nature is unruly. In truth, it prefers to be left alone. Wait, those are mine, the earmuffs. They went missing about a week ago.
What do you need earmuffs for?
I use them for gardening sometimes.
Why? You don't own a chainsaw, do you?
No. I wear them while I'm gardening, and it stops people from trying to talk to me.
That's genius.
I've seen beetles with brightly colored shells, metallic shells even. They're relatively common, especially around here. There's a difference between that and actual gold.
It can't be actual gold. Gold is just inside the earth or whatever. You can't make it. That's called alchemy. It was a whole thing.
I've seen beetles with they're relatively common. I don't know what that is.
Me neither.
Me 3. Oh, sorry. I thought you said me too.
It's Fifi and Freya.
Don't you think Poppy should be in the photo too?
Maybe, maybe not. She doesn't really like crowds.
2 people isn't a crowd.
Right, but if she was in the photo, then it'd be 3.
Checkmate.
Penelope's 3 favorite birds. She's very protective over them.
Are they like her pets? Do they have names?
Oh, they have names. Penelope loves to name things.
Do you remember what she named them?
I do not. What's with the broken glass?
This is yours, Fitz?
Yeah.
Do you use it?
I keep all my tools in the greenhouse.
That wasn't what she asked.
Poppy's piano music. I remember when she started learning. She's improved a lot since then.
Yeah, that's generally how it works.
Right. Of course.
Any idea who this is?
No idea. A flower.
Yeah, it's a flower. We found it in Penny's room.
Okay.
Mean anything to you?
Why would it?
Come on.
I don't really go into Penny's room or anywhere in Pointer Tower. I just don't have a reason to. Those petals, they,
What?
they're red. That's quite sweet, really. Felix made that? Huh.
Fitz, one of these drawings is of you? In the rooftop garden, I think? With Poppy.
Mm-hmm. Are we done? Freya's best work, in my opinion. Although, the photo doesn't carry the same energy as the real thing.
What do you think it's a painting of?
What do you mean?
Like, what's the subject matter? What's that big red thing?
Oh, I don't think it's that kind of painting. Penelope is my fiancée.
Don't take this the wrong way, but Penny doesn't really strike me as your type.
She's not who she pretends to be. People think she's... well, they make assumptions.
And how's the relationship doing? Recently.
Good. It's good. Poppy and I are friends.
Oh, I can buy that. Dark clothes, blue hair, an average of 3 words per sentence. Oh, you're like 2 peas in a pod.
She's very kind, and she has an interest in plants. Unusual flowers, mostly. I've been teaching her.
Right.
Is something wrong? Fifi doesn't like me.
What did you do?
I'm not sure. If you find out, maybe you can let me know. Felix is a contradiction. His loyalties are placed firmly within the realm of materialism, money, property. But his ego relies on an entirely fraudulent self-image, don't you think?
I was just about to say the same thing. I imagine you don't visit the astronomy tower too often, do you?
No, but I still see Pointer, sometimes. He's always curious about what I'm growing in the greenhouse. Asks me about the birds, too, and insects. He's pretty clued up on his evolutionary biology.
I didn't think there was much overlap between astronomy and biology. A little chart of... Actually, I have no idea what it's about. Kinda reminds me of a periodic table. Kinda reminds me of a periodic table.
What do you make of it?
Not a whole lot. The attic's directly above us, right?
Yeah. The outline of Freya. There's a single patch. No real.
That's weird.
What?
Her feet were right up
So?
so she was
Let's
probably...
check the case file again.
We already solved it. A bunch of old books. Covered in dust now, but they look well read. A bunch of old books. Covered in dust now, but they look well read.
What do you know about Penny?
I can't really imagine those two being friends, to be honest.
You never know. You know the guy in the other tower? Weird astronomy professor guy?
Can you see him from your window? Can he see you?
We met Felix, your husband. He's one of our suspects, and he seems pretty suspicious if you ask me. So, if you want to stick up for him, now's your chance.
Nice try.
Do you and Poppy get along?
Nothing. Shocker. Grimore, what could you possibly be writing down?
Oh no, I gave up making notes ages ago. Now I'm just doodling in the margins.
We spoke to your daughter, Fifi. She's some kind of super intelligent scientist. You must be proud of her.
Do you know anything about this beetle?
Do you know what this is?
Guess not. This is a photo of Fifi, isn't it? Your daughter? Have you seen this book before? Do you know who it belongs to?
I really thought she was going to say something there. I like these drawings, Flora.
Is there a reason why you wanted us to see them? You haven't seen this yet, have you?
It's a little model of you. Who are the other people next to you? What do you think of your husband's hobby?
Do you have any hobbies?
Do you recognize any of these feathers?
A pretty ornate.
We're supposed to be looking for.
And over here, a simple trick, but it really That's a whole lot of. Fifi's got something.
What is all this? It's a drawing of Penny.
Looks like Professor Pointer. Arrows connecting all the different suspects.
They're not labeled, though.
Yeah, they're completely meaningless. Arrows connecting.
They're not labeled.
Yeah, they're completely meaningless. And that's
What? I do I? It's Detective Hawkshaw.
Looks like Professor Pointer. I think that's supposed to be feeling. Is that supposed
That's just the face. It does make you wonder, though. It's Poppy.
Is Fifi...
Maybe. Did you ever try that? Maybe it works.
Is Fifi...
Maybe. Did you ever try that?
Did you notice who isn't on here?
Freya?
Mm-hmm. And Fifi herself.
Homemade posters. This one's about the Pythagoras theorem.
I've not heard of that band. Are they any good?
Some breed of amphibious humanoid, potentially bipedal, although none of the statues show the creature's feet.
I guess we'll never know.
Where did you find this?
Do you have any theories about where this might have been?
Or who might have had it.
I have several theories, but they are my theories, and I'm not going to share them. What is that?
I'm not sure. It looks like it attaches to something else.
Why don't you go back and double-check the area you found it? Maybe you'll find the rest of the something else.
I'm not so sure about that.
3 birds, 1 cage. What makes them worth keeping cooped up, I wonder? Would they not be happier flying free?
But then they might fly away from Tangle Tower entirely.
I wonder if they would. A diary. Have you read it?
Not yet. It's locked.
And you haven't attempted to force it open?
That would be cheating.
A photograph of Freya. Could be important. A book from the library. One of hundreds, no doubt. What makes this one special?
It's about birds.
Yes, I see that. This is a potential murder weapon, is it not?
I don't know. I don't think the murderer would leave the murder weapon just lying around.
I think you'd be surprised as to what people leave lying around. Does Flora still own that bird? Do you know?
Don't think so. The drawings are from a few years ago.
I see. These figurines remind me of a case I once solved involving a possessed doll. Turned out to be a bit of a smokescreen, as these things often do.
Your life sounds fun. Grimoire, why don't we ever have fun adventures like that?
Are we not having a fun adventure right at this very moment?
I'd tell him not to quit his day job, but he hasn't got one, has he?
When did Freya draw the picture of you, Hawkshaw?
I didn't model for her, if that's what you're asking. She must have done it without my permission.
Could just be from memory. It's not quite as detailed as the others anyway.
I admit, it's powerful. Freya was a talented young woman.
Someone even liked it enough to take a photo of it.
Now, we don't know why they took the photograph, do we? Perhaps they just wanted it for reference. These people really are ridiculous, aren't they? And you consider that important evidence, do you? Who's that?
Not sure. It doesn't really look like anyone we've met so far.
Strange. Is that a clue?
Dunno. It was important enough to be framed, though.
I framed my law degree, doesn't make it a clue.
Same. Yeah?
Do you also have a pile of leaves as a clue?
Oh, not yet. Did you see some suspicious leaves?
One of 3 statues depicting the same creature. This one is wearing headphones. Perhaps they belong to someone who likes music.
They're not headphones. They're earmuffs. For blocking out sound.
Perhaps they belong to someone who doesn't like music. I admit, it's powerful.
An item from Poppy's childhood. Her earliest piano lessons hold some special significance for her.
Why's that?
No idea. She has never graced me with the details, and I am not forthcoming enough to ask.
You two are friends, right?
We are, yes.
But...
It is clear to me now that Poppy has become tired of my company.
is it anything to do with Freya?
Oh, no. The changes in Poppy's mood have nothing to do with Freya. Her concerns simply lie elsewhere.
Who is that in the photo?
I'm quite sure that I have no idea. It is a flower. It reminds me of something, but I cannot say what. Who is this her to whom the message refers?
Well, I don't know exactly.
Then how can I meaningfully evaluate this object? Next! Now this is interesting. Where did you find it?
In the astronomy tower.
And yet, it does not concern the field of astronomy.
Nope.
In fact, you could even say that entomology is the exact opposite of astronomy.
Yeah, you could.
I would not say that, however.
Oh, you wouldn't?
No, it would be quite naive. To study science in any field is to study the connections between all matter in the universe, living or inanimate.
Is this yours, Fifi?
I do not recognize it. And besides, I would have no use for such a thing. Perhaps it could be used to hang wet laundry?
Was that a joke?
Yes.
What's wrong?
Earmuffs do not go on statues. What a mess. Penelope should tidy up after herself.
These weren't dropped by Penny. They were dropped by birds, I think.
My argument stands. Name: Penelope Pointer. Age: 27. Profession: ornithologist. Likes: birds. Dislikes: insects. Notes: Penelope is very beautiful. I have never had very much in common with her. Name: Percival Pointer. Age: 57. Profession: none.
I'm pretty sure he's an astronomer.
Oh, yes, of course. How uncharacteristically forgetful of me.
Poppy's a good friend to my daughter. Always has been. I think they get on well because they're so different.
Different, like how?
Poppy is, she's quite introspective, good with feelings. Fiona, not so much. Still, Poppy always seems to be sulking about something.
The heavy, heavy price of emotional intelligence.
Penelope seems to have really settled into a groove. She struggled a bit when she was younger, always a little estranged.
How come?
Well, she was mostly raised by her uncle, and he really only makes time for his own daughter. Now, of course, she's bringing the two families together through her marriage. It's a nice gesture, heartfelt, but futile. Percival Pointer. Good old... So, what do you reckon? Is he the murderer?
I don't know, maybe. We still need...
That is not information we're willing to share at this time.
I'm just saying, keep an eye on him. Holds on to a lot of bitterness, does old Pointer. Just because he's always struggled to support his family. Slightly pathetic, really.
And how long have you known him?
Over 35 years.
Childhood friends? Rivals?
Don't know if I'd do him the honor of considering him my rival. Is that a clue? Really?
It might be. The statue was up in the rooftop garden.
Yes, it's been there a while. You can see the brass is slightly tarnished by the elements. But it's not too bad. Might be salvageable. What's this all about? Some kind of rare jewel?
I'm pretty sure the research is about a real insect.
If it's made of gold, then it's made of gold. What is it?
We don't know. We were really hoping you would.
My friends, shed your hope and let it fall free like sandbags from a hot air balloon.
That's the most depressing idiom I've ever heard.
Now this is still in very good condition. Apart from the crack, of course.
What about those shards on the inside of the horn?
Looks like somebody broke a glass and was trying to conceal the evidence. Cunning. I've never seen that before. Looks valuable. Bizarre things, aren't they? Penelope seems rather attached to them.
Do you not feel sorry for them in that little cage?
Come now, I'm sure they could leave if they really wanted to. I've never been one for music. Why not ask Poppy instead? Oh dear.
Do you know who this is?
Not a clue. That looks like it might belong to Fitz. Goodness me!
Feathers flashing in the light, from a sunbeam gleaming bright. I shield my eyes and turn my head, but all at once I've been misled. Light is shining on the stage, but through the railings of a cage. Eavesdrop what the stars are saying, earthly tether slowly fraying, floating helpless from the worst of jealous hunger, selfish thirst. Take a moment, kneel and meet the flowers growing at your feet. You get some weird insects around here, but I've never seen one like that.
I'm not sure anyone has.
Freya might have. She used to keep beetles in a box in her room.
Why?
For fun, obviously. Where did you find this?
It was in the attic.
Oh, huh. I forgot we even had an attic.
Do you know where those earmuffs came from?
I put them there.
Why?
I found them lying around. I think they belonged to Fitz. I put them on the statue so he'd see them. I thought they looked like headphones, like he's in the recording studio with his guitar. No?
If they do belong to Fitz, he hasn't taken them back yet. When did you find them?
This morning.
Where?
I don't know, in a hallway. I can't remember exactly. I see a lot of birds up in the rooftop garden. They seem to really like it up there.
Why's that?
It's quiet. Yeah, it's mine.
What's so special about it?
I got it from my teacher. It's the first piece I ever learned.
How long have you been playing?
Since the day I turned 6. Family tradition. I was really excited to start learning. As soon as I got out of my first lesson, I told Freya and Fifi all about it. When I arrived at my second lesson the next day, Freya was there too. She hadn't asked permission, just showed up. For 2 whole years, the teacher taught us both.
Was Freya any good?
She would have been even better than me, if she'd stuck with it. But one day, she just stopped coming to lessons.
Why?
That's just it. There was no reason. That's when I realized things were different for her.
Can you play the tune for us?
Sure. It's literally 8 notes. I have it memorized. I don't know what that is.
Weird, considering we found it hidden in your room.
Well, my room is full of junk. There's probably a bunch of stuff hidden in there. I don't mean like... Please stop talking to me. Never seen that one before. Was it in the greenhouse?
No, we found it in Penny's room.
Right. Those petals.
What about them?
It's nothing. They're just unusual.
It's piano music.
Weird.
It's someone humming a tune.
There's something kinda... I just
Oh,
expected...
does it not compare to... Ah, yes, a giant... Oh, it's a good omen.
It's an eye.
Is that for sewing?
Maybe?
We have no idea.
That's rather strange now, isn't it?
We found it in your room.
Just lying around, was it?
Nope. You'd hidden it, but we found it.
We do that.
Who's the her in the message? And what's the deal with the petals?
It's really none of your business. Yes, it's my, my flower.
You don't like it?
I'm no good at caring for plants. I forget to water them. Birds are much easier. They're a lot more vocal when they get thirsty.
Do you at least like the look of the flower?
The look?
The colors? The shape of it?
Between you and me, I think it's a little vulgar. I can't decide what's worse. How she looks here, or how she looks now.
Do you know who this is? In the photo?
Oh, absolutely no idea. Looks a little simple for Poppy, doesn't it? Thought she was a grade 12 or something.
I didn't know there were that many grades.
I'm sure they invented some new ones just for her. Oh, there used to be all kinds of birds here at Tangle Tower. The most fascinating breeds, all totally unique.
Used to be? There are birds all over the place.
Most of them are rather ordinary, I'm afraid.
What happened to the non-ordinary ones?
That is a very good question. Not a fan of insects myself. Whose research is this?
We were hoping you might know.
No, can't say I... Freya, perhaps. I know she was always very fond of grubby little things like this.
Noted.
Lovely. Can't say I've ever taken an interest in Uncle's astronomy. On occasion I've dared to visit him in his tower, but I always regret it. It's all just a little too abstract for me.
What do you mean?
Oh, did you know the sun is apparently over 400,000 miles wide? Okay, so what should I do with that information? How does it help me?
Don't look at me. You're the one who memorized it.
There's something about the report of Fitz going up Pointer Tower. Something suspicious.
Let's ask him about it.
There's something about those petals we found in Penny's room. Something suspicious.
Let's ask her about it.
It's a little glass box.
I think it's a vivarium.
Come again?
See the leaves and twigs in there? Might have been for keeping insects.
Even though we're halfway up a tower, someone's been tracking in mud from outside. So, yeah, we found this.
Oh, that's nothing.
You wrote, "Now I'll get her," on a piece of paper and hid it in your room. That's not nothing.
Actually, it's not the message I wanted to ask about. It's those red flower petals.
The petals.
They're from red roses, and there's only one place in Tangle Tower with red roses.
We need a clue. Something that shows the roses and who they belong to. It's a drawing of Fitz and Poppy in the rooftop garden. See what Fitz is holding?
I can't imagine what you're getting at, but it doesn't matter. I couldn't have taken anything from the rooftop garden. It's only accessible from Fitz's room or Poppy's room. How could I have taken something from a garden to which I have no access?
Is it really only accessible from those 2 bedrooms?
For most people, it would be. But don't forget, Penny's the resident ornithologist.
My dears, what are you accusing me of?
Pointer's telescope was used to spy on Poppy and Fitz and steal evidence from them. Almost. Maybe just change one thing. One of Penny's birds was used to spy on Poppy and Fitz and steal evidence from them. We know those 2 have been spending time together in the rooftop garden. I'm guessing you got paranoid. Wanted to know what they were up to.
I'm just not the jealous type. I would never suspect Fitz of anything like that. Besides, Tabitha hardly ever leaves her cage. She's certainly never flown up to the rooftop garden.
We need a clue to compare with Penny's birds. Something to prove one of them has been in the rooftop garden. Let's take a closer look at these. This yellow feather was left behind by Penny's yellow bird when it visited the rooftop garden.
I can't stand it! Knowing the 2 of them are hidden away up there in their private little garden. I couldn't risk spying on them myself, so I asked dear Tabitha to do it for me. I knew she'd be able to bring me back some evidence.
Sorry, Penny, but are you not overreacting a little?
You don't understand. Fitz is slipping away from me. He's so quiet with me these days. But being with Poppy seems to bring him out of his shell. I don't know what he sees in her miserable little... I apologize. This really isn't your burden to bear.
I don't like me.
How do you get
I do by weight. I can feel it.
So, Fitz, I have a report that you were seen sneaking up Pointer Tower, holding a knife.
That's not right. I don't go into Pointer Tower. I don't own a knife. And I don't sneak. Was it Fifi who told you this?
How did you know that?
A guess. She doesn't like me very much. But yeah, she was mistaken. Maybe she wasn't wearing her eye lens thing.
What do you think, Grimoire?
Fifi did see Fitz, but he was holding something else.
So, if it wasn't a knife, what was it?
What about this?
Ah, that.
Is it yours?
It was a gift. It's sentimental. I have no reason to take it up Pointer Tower. I don't use it at all.
An ornate trowel is used by Fitz to look after a potted flower in Penny's room.
That flower.
Yes.
I've never seen it before.
We need a clue to compare to that flower. Something that proves its connection to Fitz.
Let's take a closer look at these. The pot and soil in Penny's room matches the pot and soil found in the garden. Almost. Maybe just... The pot and soil in Penny's room matches the pot and soil found in Fitz's greenhouse. Let me guess. Penny's flower was originally a gift from you, Fitz. There's no way it's a coincidence.
No way what's a coincidence?
The flower. It looks exactly like Penny.
It took me a long time to breed. I wanted the colors to be exactly right.
That's some gift.
Turns out Penny isn't particularly interested in looking after plants. So I go into her room every now and again, and when she's not there, water the flower, change the soil, just trying to keep it alive.
That's a handsome beetle. Looks like he might have magic powers.
So, we found some research. What's up with this golden beetle? Is this something you're studying?
I can't help you, I'm afraid. I think it must be something left behind by a previous inhabitant of Tangle Tower. I'm not the first scientist to ever walk these halls, you know.
Well, it wasn't in the halls. It was in your astronomy tower.
I've seen those earmuffs before. They're the ones Fitz always wears when he's out the front gardening.
Always wears?
Whenever I've seen him, yes. What's this? Is it a clue?
We don't actually know. But Grimoire picked it up, so now he has to pretend it is.
That's how it works.
Yes, very nice. Where is that bird of Flora's? It's been a while since I've seen it. This looks a little rushed, even by Felix's standards.
At least he tried.
Yes, I suppose it's good for the old fellow to have a hobby. Keeps his mind from decaying, you know. This is supposed to be Felix, is it?
I think so.
I see he's afforded himself considerable artistic license. What a precious photograph. She hasn't changed a bit, has she?
Who?
Oh, if you don't know, perhaps I don't either. Oh, my. This is the first piece that Primrose ever learnt on the piano. Primrose, that is Poppy's mother. She passed it down to Poppy when she started teaching her how to play.
Poppy's piano teacher was her mother?
Of course. Warms my heart to know that after everything, Poppy still has it up on her wall. What kind of flower is that?
We're not sure. I think it might be the only one of its kind.
Primrose would know. My wife was a floriculturalist. Best in the field. That's a flower joke, but she was.
Interesting.
These were drawn by Freya? She must have drawn that one of Hawkshaw rather recently.
I guess.
Freya was well acquainted with the abstract, I'll say that much.
What does it look like to you?
To me, it's a big, red thing.
What a fascinating interpretation.
He's right, though. It is a big red thing.
Well now, that is most definitely none of my business. Quite possibly none of yours either. I haven't seen that tape for a long time. Who broke it?
No idea.
Ah well, possessions are fleeting, my friends.
So which one is Tangle Tower?
What's that?
There are two towers, right? Flora's tower and your astronomy tower.
Neither? Truly, I have no idea. You'd have to ask Flora.
She named the house?
The whole thing is a result of her squabbling with her family.
With Felix, you mean? Her husband?
No, her brother and sister, and her father. The Remington family was a rather tumultuous little unit, you see. I don't think Flora has spoken with any of them in over a decade. Not exactly a wealth of information, is it?
It's enough.
Where on earth did you find that?
It was in a bush outside. I think someone threw it away.
How peculiar. Isn't the process of decay fascinating?
It's not really decaying. It's plastic.
It's becoming one with nature, all the same. I find that painting to be in rather bad taste.
Oh, yeah?
The knife with real blood on it? The whole thing is rather vulgar. Oh, you found a murder weapon?
Steady on. It's just a gardening trowel.
Looks like a weapon to me. That's rather a small cage for 3 birds, isn't it? But then, aren't we all trapped in a cage? Curious creature, isn't it? Some sort of amphibious bipedal fishman.
Playing a trumpet.
Playing a trumpet, yes.
There's something about Pointer's astronomy habits. Something suspicious.
Let's ask him about it.
So, Professor, what interests you about astronomy exactly?
It's not a matter of being interested. Once you expand your mind to the wider universe, it cannot be unexpanded.
Mm-hmm. And how long have you been an astronomer?
I really don't like to give exact values unless I'm sure I can quantify them.
Convenient.
Why do you ask me these things?
I have a theory about you, Professor.
Oh? Go on.
You're not really interested in astronomy at all.
What could you possibly mean by that?
I think you're interested in a slightly different field of research.
I don't don't have time for tiny, insignificant insects. My studies focus only on the inconceivably large and the unimaginably far away.
Right. That's why you like using your telescope so much.
Yes, naturally. My little portal into another world.
Yeah, about that. Pointer's telescope was sneaking up on the crime scene and not up at the sky. Almost. Maybe just change one thing. Pointer's telescope was actually looking at the crime scene and not up at the sky.
First, you accuse me of being a lowly entomologist. Now you're accusing me of, what, spying?
Are you spying?
Why would I need to spy on Flora?
Why? Because you lost your golden beetle specimen, and it's made you paranoid. You think somebody stole it from you.
Might not have been Flora you were spying on. Might have been Freya.
It's a very precious specimen, incredibly rare, valuable in ways you could never understand. Freya was always sneaking around, both towers and in the gardens too. She was definitely up to something.
So, this next question is important. You were looking to Flora's room around the time of the murder. Did you witness the crime, Professor?
No, I didn't. When I looked into the room, Flora was already lying on the floor.
Flora? You mean Freya?
No, Flora. She was lying by the window. I couldn't see Freya at all. It was fairly dark. The telescope isn't at a very good angle. That's why I decided to head over there myself. I needed to know what was going on.
This changes your statement, doesn't it?
No, everything I told you in my statement was true.
Apart from the reason you left your tower in the first place.
Right.
Let's go over what we know about the crime scene. Freya was definitely up to something.
Something to do with the statue in the garden, I think.
Maybe we should go back and check. And we could have missed something.
I was at my telescope for the majority of the evening, but at one point I returned to my desk to look something up in a reference book. I couldn't find the book I wanted, so I figured Fiona must have borrowed it. I left my tower and headed down towards the Grand Hall. I spotted Detective Hawkshaw coming out of the library. She looked impatient and slightly frustrated.
Same as ever, then?
Quite. I passed her by and went upstairs to...
We know a little more about the crime scene now. So, what do you think? Was Freya stabbed by her own painting?
Paint from the paint pot was replaced by blood from the paint pot to resemble a bloody knife. Nope. Paint from the paint pot was replaced by blood from the paint pot to hide the evidence. That's not right. Blood from the paint pot was used to paint the red tip of the painted ink dip feather to resemble a bloody knife.
I think you're right. Can't decide if I'm disappointed or relieved.
I have a question. Why?
Either it's a very strange coincidence, or somebody set it up.
Somebody deliberately put blood in the paint pot and hid that feather after the crime. Why? To distract us?
Possibly.
Well, it worked.
Possibly.
Flora's the only person who could have hidden the feather, unless someone took it from her.
Let's go over what we do know. The door was locked the whole time. It stayed locked until Fitz kicked it down. Normally, it can only be opened from the inside. Pointer said he couldn't see Freya from his telescope, but he did see Flora lying by the window.
So whatever got Freya got Flora too?
Except Flora survived. She didn't get a stab wound like Freya did.
Hold on. If there was no knife, then what did stab Freya?
It could be anything. It might not even be important.
How is it not important?
Right now, I'm less interested in the what, and more interested in the how.
The angle of Freya's wound suggests she was stabbed at a perfect right angle. That is, from directly in front of her. But she was standing right up by the canvas.
Somehow, Freya ended up lying on her back, still perfectly in line with a painting.
Maybe something went through it.
Through the painting? Wouldn't that leave a hole?
Okay, well, how about this? How do we know Freya was stabbed before she fell over? Maybe her being stabbed and her falling over are completely unrelated.